So although it did take us about 4 years to get to this point, we did gross nearly $100,000 in our candle business for the year of 2024, and we are right on track to do the same for 2025. Although we hopefully will do a little bit more than we did last year, because obviously we want to keep growing more and more year after year. But it really made me think and wonder about what were the specific tools, platform, and strategies that we implemented in our business that really got us to that six-figure mark. Welcome to episode 39 of the Candle Business Podcast. If this is your first time here with me today, hello, my name is Erica, and I have my own small candle business called Memory Box Candle Co. that I have with my husband, Chris. We also have a 1.5-year-old boy who is just the spunkiest, most crazy little child I have ever been around in my entire life, and it is wonderful every single day. So that is what I'm doing outside of YouTube, the podcast, and my candle business. That is the bulk of my life, is being a mom, but I also have my candle business. So I really wanted to take today's episode to dive into really 4 specific points that I wanted to talk about, kind of 5, but we'll see. I'm going to really kind of dive into the bulk of them. So what I want to do is talk about the tools, the platforms, and the strategies that we utilized in order to grow our business. So we really kind of doubled our revenue from 2023 to 2024. And I just want to dive into what I believed was the main reason for that. So the first thing that I really want to get into is that none of this would be possible if we didn't have the right candle making equipment. So I really owe a lot to these pieces of equipment that allow us to scale and be way more efficient when it comes to making candles. So I have to give praise to the wonderful DigiBoil, because this holds, I believe it's around 50 pounds of wax, if I'm not mistaken. I think 40 to 50 pounds. But it allows for a huge batch of candles to be poured at once. And our main income right now is through wholesale, which is usually a lot of candles poured at once. Chris frequently pours about 80 to 100 candles at the same time on any given day or pour session. And it allows for him to be able to do that in a much faster manner than it would definitely with double boiling. I don't even know if that would be possible. And even with the Presto pot. So I started out double boiling, and then I moved to the Presto pot, and then I got a DigiBoil. And the DigiBoil has been wonderful, but it really is only great if you are wanting or needing to pour a good amount of candles at once. So I would say if you're needing to pour about a dozen candles, maybe even less than that, maybe half a dozen candles or more, definitely get a DigiBoil over the double boiling. But if you're kind of in that dozen candle ranges that you're pouring at once, I could see the Presto pot being totally fine for doing that. But it really just depends on your preference and where you see your vision for your candle business. But a DigiBoil absolutely has made it night and day when it comes to being efficient and productive and faster with actually pouring the candles. So definitely that. We also have our wick setting tools. So I always get asked about these, and these are by a specific Etsy shop. So I will have that either in the pinned comment on YouTube or in the show notes on the podcast, because this is probably the number one question that I get all the time is, where do we get our wick setting tools? We have wick presses, we have wick setters, and all of these tools combined has made it so much easier, more efficient, and faster to make candles. And the faster you can make candles and more efficiently you can make them, the more money you can make in the long run. If it takes you 5 hours to make a dozen candles, then you're not going to get to the point where you need to be in your business in order to sell as many candles as you want to. So having big melters, having a system, having, these tools that make things faster for actually prepping the jars, because hands up if you hate prepping the jars. By the way, I hated that. And I'm so blessed to have Chris be doing all of that right now. If you're thinking about starting a candle business, whether you're in the testing phase or you're preparing to launch, I have something that's going to make your life so much easier. It's my candle business launch checklist. This checklist will walk you through everything that you need to be thinking about and getting done before you launch your business so that you can feel confident and prepared. And the best part is that when you do download it, you're going to get my weekly emails that's packed with tips and advice and encouragement to help you along your candle business journey. So you can head to ericamariemorris.com/checklist to download yours right now. I had to start off with that one because without these efficient candle making tools, none of this would be possible, especially not wholesale, because wholesale requires a lot of candles to be made if you're at a certain level or, having a certain amount of gross revenue for the year. So last year we did about $75,000. This year so far we've done about $25,000. So I'm hoping that we will do a little bit more than we did for the year of 2024 on wholesale. And we are right on track to make more than that, but none of this would be possible if we didn't have these larger, more efficient tools. So moving on from the time-saving tools, I want to also touch on I would say this is a strategy, and I would say this is a very, very, very important strategy. And I know I talk about this a lot in my videos, but it's because I think it is so insanely important for what we sell and what we do, especially if you're selling online. And that has to do with product photography. I have continuously evolved with product photography, and I have always made sure that the photos accurately show the products, have good high quality images, great lighting, great editing, and have really stood out. So for instance, when I created our fair shop, the product photos were something that I spent the most time on. I spent the most time on creating the mock-ups and having everything be seamless and cohesive and bright and eye-catching, and it has really paid off. I think that is probably the number one reason on why we are doing so well on Fair is because of the product photos. So and to be honest, when it came to Fair, when we got started on the platform, Fair was already 6 years old. It wasn't like we got on the platform right when they got started. So they're only, I think, 8 years old right now. So we got started almost 2 years ago. And at that point, there was already tons of other candle businesses and candle brands on there. It wasn't like we were the only one or one of just a few that were on there. We really kind of dove in when the competition was already pretty high in our category. But what I think stood out a lot was the product photography. So if I could tell you anything to invest in anything, it would be product photography over anything else, over a logo, over a Shopify theme, over pretty much anything else. Product photography is going to be the area of your business that you will not regret spending money on and really investing into that, because that is going to be the first thing that your customers see and the reason why somebody would purchase from you. So I really do think that that is what really propelled us the most when it came to Fair and why we've continued to do so well. At this point, it's a bunch of different things kind of in combination together, but I think the first initial part of it was the photos on Fair. So now let's dive a little bit into Fair, because this is hands down 100%, no doubt about it, that Fair is the reason why we propelled so much more in our gross revenue for 2024. Fair is the reason. Fair is everything for us right now. And it really was the driving force in our total income and still is. Right now, we're at about a 70-30 split between wholesale and retail, which is actually slightly more balanced than it was last year. So last year we were at about a 25-75 split. So I'm wanting to get it more at 40-60, not taking anything away from Fair, but really just building up more of the revenue on our retail side. Hence why I'm trying to put so much effort into Pinterest. But also wholesale does actually bring us retail customers as well. So when we're growing in wholesale, we do actually on the back end grow in our retail customers as well. But when it came to getting started on Fair and having that grow our revenue, this obviously with how much income we made, this was the biggest impact on our total revenue, on why we got to the 6-figure mark in our candle business in revenue was because of the Fair platform. So I definitely have to say that that was probably one of the best decisions that we could have done at the time of getting on the platform. This was back in July of 2023, and it hands down has been the best decision that we have made in our candle business to really propel us forward. And it's taught me a lot. There's been a lot of things that we've learned about the Fair platform, mainly with communicating with different retailers, seeing what kind of retailers reach out to us and want to purchase from us. And it really has helped me figure out how to create a wholesale outreach strategy so that we can really focus a lot on finding our own retail customers. Because I'm not going to lie, especially during that whole postpartum, the first year postpartum, Fair was just kind of bringing us a bunch of retailers. They still are to this day. And I just wasn't really focused a lot on wholesale outreach. But now that I see what wholesale is doing right now and where I want us to go, I know now what different types of retailers we can reach out to and how to have a strategy in order to reach out to them. And that is something else that I am trying to figure out in terms of hiring somebody, not on Fiverr. I probably will be more local in this regard just because this is going to be a lot more tied to our business. It's going to be a little bit more personal, and I want to trust this individual to have really good communication skills, really good data entry and organization. It's going to be a really big part of the job. And I've never really hired somebody before, so this is something that I'm kind of taking my time with and figuring out exactly how I want to go about doing it. But I know that it's something that's going to really help the business, because I have to be honest with myself that when I have all these different avenues of creating, my online courses and digital products, and then doing the podcast, and then, posting on Instagram or whatever it is that I'm doing, I can't do everything at once. I can't do everything well. So that's why I'm little by little trying to figure out what works, what are my goals, what do I need to do to get there, and who do I need to have to help me in order to get there. So that is really kind of what I've learned with Fair. Fair's been a big part of everything with our business, and it's really just, changed the whole trajectory of everything. And alongside the platform type of topic that we are on right now, I also want to give an ode to Inventora, because Inventora, again, is a massive part of our success, because without it, we would have absolutely been running around like crazy trying to keep track of everything. And it just allows for so much ease with keeping track of everything. So we're able to keep track of productions and materials and finished products. And Chris, every time we get a Fair order, he goes right on to Inventora. He puts everything into production so that he knows what to make, what he's making. And then once it's all done, he completes the order. It removes it from our materials, and we're good to go. Everything is on track. Everything is good to go. It's a system. It works for us. Chris has his system here. And honestly, I would probably say Chris is definitely my best strategy. He has done this way better than me. He has done this way, way better than me. I can get the sales and do all the back end work. He can fulfill the orders and do all of that. And we're both in our zone of, what do they call it? Like our aces in their places, zone of genius, whatever they say. We're definitely feeling that way and feeling like we're kind of in our right places with the way that the business is going. So that definitely has been a huge, huge, huge part of it as well. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention in today's episode that I think made a huge difference in our overall success from last year is a really big focus on customer service, specifically with under-promising and over-delivering. We live by this phrase. We love this phrase. It is what we run our business off of, whether that's, setting our lead time to 8 to 10 business days, but then getting an order shipped out in 5 days on Faire and surprising the retailer that it's getting to them much quicker than what they thought. Or if somebody is reaching out for samples and instead of just giving them wax melt samples, we also include a free candle or whatever it is. We always want to continuously over deliver on what we are doing to really show that we care a lot about our customers, because we do. We love our customers and we want to really treat them the best way that we can. This goes for retail as well. I love our retail customers, our wholesale customers, and we are so appreciative of everybody. So whatever we can do to create the best kind of customer service experience, we will do that. So that is our, what do they call it? Like a very, I don't want to say it's a cheesy motto, but it's a very common motto of under promise and over deliver. We would much rather do that than try to over promise and not be able to deliver on it, obviously, because that is not a good look for us. But that definitely, I feel like, had a really big impact on our overall success from the last year and a half in business, and has really propelled us forward, because we have really had a very big customer service focus on our business to make sure that we are responding to customers in a timely manner, opening up that communication with our wholesale retailers, and really making sure that we are, getting back to people and answering their questions and answering their concerns and anything that comes up. We always want to make sure that we are doing it in the best way that we can. And another great thing about Faire is that they do allow for team members or employees or whatever to come on there. So both me and Chris have our own separate accounts essentially on our Faire account, and that helps a lot for us to both see whenever there's a message or something that pops up, or an inquiry or whatever it is, emails, and then just get back as soon as we possibly can is kind of the way that we go about everything. And we always talk to each other. We always figure out, what are we doing? Supply orders. We just placed a supply order today, and trying to be on the same page with everything to keep everything going, because I feel like that is a huge part of it, to really kind of be in communication, have everything organized. Thank you, Chris. And making sure that everything is running smoothly, because without the systems, without the organization, without the customer service, without the tools, without the photos that catch people's attention, none of these, if I didn't have any of these, I really don't think that we would be at the point that we are. I think it's accumulation effect of all these different things together that has really propelled us to the point that we're at right now. If you're interested in signing up to be a brand on Faire, I have heard that there's a better chance of being accepted if you sign up through a link. Also, it is a referral link, so I will get a credit for if you do end up getting accepted and you join through my link. I will have that down in the pinned comment below, as well as in the show notes. I'll also leave my Inventora link on there too. So if you're needing an inventory platform, that is going to be your go-to. But with that, I'm going to end today's episode right here, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Candle Business Podcast. I hope it encouraged you as you move forward in your own candle business journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, or if you've been loving the podcast, I would appreciate it so much if you could take just a few moments to give the show a rating and maybe even a written review, so that it can help reach more aspiring business owners just like you. And always remember to spend every day working towards a life that your future self will be proud of.